viewers, it's rare that we get the opportunity to pick the brain of someone who has excelled to the top of his company and considered as one of the most powerful people in their field. Today, the Australian Education Time is delighted to meet with one such person who has achieved such feats. I'm Maya from the News Group, here today to interview Peter Horgan, the CEO of OMD Australia, whom were recently awarded Kane's Global Media Agency for the year of 2013. Peter crafted his trade in Australia and the UK to become someone that is ranked as one of the most powerful people in the media industry for the last 4 years, and sits on the national board for Media Federation of Australia. Let's welcome Peter Horgan and discover his steps to success and educational path. Please tell our viewers about your school and what higher education you do.
Thanks, Matt. I started school in the UK. I was born in London and went through the UK schooling system. I was raised in a family. We grew up in Wimbledon. I was schooled by the Jesuits through my prep school years to the age of about 15 in a fairly small prep school in Wimbledon. A very nice nurturing environment. They could be quite tough, but they were pretty fair. And then my sister had gone into a boarding school in the UK, and my parents decided that I was starting to grow my hair a bit too long and probably needed to get into a more structured learning environment, so they sent me to a boarding school in Somerset, which is in the western part of England, and for the years, I think 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 through to the equivalent of the high school certificate, I was at boarding school in a school called Millfield, which was quite a sporty school, but also had quite small class sizes, which meant that you got a lot of personalised teacher attention as well. And then my parents emigrated to Australia, and they settled in Perth in WA. So I was left at boarding school for 2 years and commuted back to Australia for holidays. And finally, when I finished my schooling in England, I came to join my family in Perth, and I ended up going to Curtin University, where I did a business degree. So I ended up with a Bachelor of Business and a handful of A-levels or HSC certificates, which were the qualifications I took into the big wide world to start my career.
At what point during your education did you decide that you wanted to work in the media industry?
If I'm going to be honest, I think it's always important to be honest, I'd have to tell you that at no stage of my career, I didn't even know what media was. I knew I liked television, like most young people. As I was doing my degree, I thought I'm a very old man now, so this was back in the 1980s, and there were all sorts of films about how much fun it was to be in banking and Wall Street, and that's where I thought I would try my luck. So I was trying to get into the financial markets, but after I finished university, I ended up back in London in 1990, and there was a recession. The economy wasn't very good, so there were no jobs in banking. I had a friend at the time who said that a media company was hiring, so I wrote my CV as to why I'd always wanted to be in media, and I went along, and I was lucky enough to get the job. So it was just good luck that I fell into media. But I didn't even know when I was going through school that there was such a thing as media planning and buying agencies.
How do you feel your education experiences have defined the man you have become today?
I think in education, I was lucky enough to have quite a diverse education. As I said, the Jesuits at the beginning, where there was a bit of religion and the concept of being a man for others and giving back, and then boarding school, where you form very deep friendships. It was a co-educational school. You get to understand how friendships can be valuable, not only for having fun with people, but also how friends can support you as you go through life. So I think building deep friendships and working out support structures for how people look after each other was a very valuable lesson in my educational upbringing. I think in my university days, just understanding the power of numbers and how maths, although it might not be the funnest thing in the world, is a critical part of all business and most professional pursuits, but especially in a media agency, having a good grasping of economics and mathematics was also important. So I think the human side of it, of understanding friends, a bit of diversity in different styles of education, and then some quite boring maths at the end. That's how I'd sum that up.
What have been some of your bigger failures, and how have you learned from them?
I think in terms of failures, in running a business, the people who own the business do not respond well to business failure. I think so. I've been lucky enough to have a track record of achieving what the owners of OMD expect in terms of making money and keeping clients happy. I think the failures that I look back on are where I've possibly let people down, that you become too focused on a new business target or a client demand, and you push your team too hard and you forget the human side of the teams that are working for you and that are doing their best. And I think I could look back to a time in 2012 where we'd lost a piece of business and we were pitching very hard to try and replace that big piece of business, and I'd say we lost sight of looking after the humans at OMD, and culture and people enjoying their work life is a very important part of the makeup of this company, and I think it reflected on how the company felt. People weren't as happy as they normally were, and we measure every year how people feel about working at OMD, and the scores took a big dive. So you could sense that people were unhappy. People were working incredibly long hours, and it had a bad impact on the business. And I look back on that as a failure, and the learning on it was to be more mindful of looking after the people that work for the business, of nurturing culture within the business. The culture is a very precious and brittle thing, and that fundamentally we are a people business, and in a people business you need to look after the humans.
You have been ranked as one of the most powerful people in the media industry for the last 4 years. What do you think has set you apart from the others being given such an honour?
I think it's similar to the previous answer. You deal with a lot of people in running a media agency. You deal with people who work within the organisation, but you deal with the TV networks, you deal with the newspapers, and I think being consistent, so trying to stay the same in how you treat clients, how you treat the TV companies, the people that you're buying media space from, and being fair to all those different groups that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, so that people understand that you are going to try and push for a good deal for your clients, but you are not going to be mean about it. You are not going to try and trick them. That you'll be true to your word, and that sort of commitment. It's not always the easiest. It's not always the easiest path, but it definitely pays back in the long term. That people will judge you as a person who is true to their word, and that they will be happy to do business with you, and they will tell their colleagues, friends, and other people within the industry their experiences, good or bad, with who they deal with. So how you behave and treat people is an enormously important part of building your own brand within an industry, and if you take the time and trouble to look after people, they will pay you back tenfold.
You were previously a joint MD of OMD with your colleague Lee Terry, where you had great success. What skills do you consider important when working as part of a successful team such as the one you have with Mr. Terry?
It's an interesting question, because joint MDs is quite rare within business structures. They normally tend to pyramid up to having one person leading a business. And indeed, when we went to talk to the people who own this business, suggesting that it might be a good idea for me and Lee to jointly run the business, they said that's crazy. All across the world, we've had 3 joint managing directors, and it's been a disaster every time. They just end up fighting, and nobody knows who's in charge. So I think we were lucky enough that the time we spent working together, which was nearly 2 years as joint MD, was seen as a very positive time for the people and for the business. I'd say the fundamental difference that we brought was that we'd worked together for a long time and we trusted each other. So I think the first thing about working within a team, or even jointly leading a business, is the 2 leads have to trust each other. That there's no politics, there's no telling people certain things or creating divisions within the business. So trust is the first part, and then the second part is you have to have different skills that you both bring. And I know there were aspects of what Lee did that I wasn't able to do, and I hope he might not, but I hope he'd say there were things that I could do better than him. So we behaved and considered each other very much as a team, and we knew that together, with what we both brought, we were stronger as a pair in leading the business and taking OMD to where we wanted to take it. So the 2 things again, I think, and it stands true for any team structure, is trust needs to be fundamental, and people need to bring different expertise to the team.
How do you keep yourself motivated?
I try and focus on what I enjoy about my job, and I think it's easy for people to say, "Oh, I enjoy my job." It's so it's not work at all. I think you need to look for that in your job. It's easy to say I'm tired, or we're too busy, or I've got a report I've got to write and I don't want to write it. And I think, like all aspects of life, there are things that are fun, and then there are things that you've just got to do. So you need to reflect on your job in its entirety, and remember the things out of it that you like. The social side of it. I'm quite a social person, and I like spending time with clients. I like spending time with the team. We do a lot of fun activities here, such as in 3 weeks' time, 100 of us are going to to Perisher to go skiing on the OMD ski trip. And just for the crowd out there, I'm the current OMD skiing champion, and I don't think it's anything to do with me being the boss that they let me win. So there's great parts of the business. I think you need to celebrate the good parts, and you need to get on with the not so fun bits that are still important, an important part of delivering or doing your job. I think as well, work-life balance. So I do spend a lot of time with my family, and I think not being in your work frame of mind the entire time is important as well. You need to know when to be able to switch off and spend time with your family and friends, and enjoy the people you love. Sometimes you love the people you work with, but that's not always the case. So it's important to be able to switch off as well.
Who is your inspiration?
Inspiration's a tough one. I often think about this, and it's a question I get asked quite often. And all people, however marvellous they may be portrayed, everyone has their flaws. There's very few perfect people out there. Even Muhammad Ali, who is almost deified now, there were dark sides to him as an individual. So I'd say it's a bit of a boring answer, or it's not the most exciting person in the world. But I look at Bill Gates as someone who behaved consistently through his career. He made a big impact on the world. He built Windows, the Windows Microsoft business, which Windows is almost on every computer on people's desks these days. So a massive impact on the world. Quite a stable, balanced human being, and gave a tremendous amount of his fortune, tens of billions of dollars, to charity with no strings attached. So a person who not only made an impact, made a lot of money, but gave a lot back to society as well. You'll find more exciting answers than that from other people, I'm sure.
Social media is continuing to grow in popularity worldwide. What are your views on social media and its influence on education?
Social media is growing enormously, and we have huge numbers of people within our business now who are focused purely on social media and how social media can help companies. And it's a big leap of faith for companies to open themselves up to social media, because it's not one way message telling of our product is wonderful or we're nice people. It's a conversation. So incredibly powerful. People are much more engaged in the conversation than when they're just being talked at by a television. The role of education is an interesting question, in that when I was growing up, people used to spend too much time in front of the television, and I remember arguing with my parents, saying, but there's educational programs on television, and there was each home would have its debate as to the merits of television. But television, like social media, can be an incredible time waster, but people were engaged with television, so if there were educational programs, then that would be quite powerful in terms of creating knowledge within young people who may not be excited about reading books. Social media is even more powerful, because television is one-way communication. Social media is a conversation, a dialogue again, and a conversation is always much more powerful than a one-way message. So the power of social media, if you can get the right messaging and the right conversation happening, you will find young minds will be incredibly engaged and far more open towards receiving important information and making it stick.
The term successful is used a lot. What do you consider being successful to mean to you in your career and life in general?
It's a very good question. I think for me, being successful comes back to the Bill Gates answer, is making an impression on the industry I've chosen to work in. I constantly think about, I run OMD, but I am running it for other people. It's like it's on loan for me, on loan to me, and how will I be remembered for how I behaved on my watch in charge of OMD? What kind of company will I leave behind? So for me, success is leaving a stronger, healthier OMD behind with people, friends that have worked here and that have enjoyed their time here. So from a work perspective, yes, I need to deliver the business results that the people who own OMD expect, but the most important thing for me in terms of success is leaving behind a happy, healthy OMD after I move on to my next role or maybe even retire. And from a life perspective, again, it's spending time with the people I know and love, spending time with family, and I think if you're going to balance a successful job where you're happy in your work and maintain your friends and family and have that being a harmonious balance between work and life, then for me that is success.
What advice can you give to our thousands of viewers who are planning a career in media industry?
I'd say the first thing is know what you're getting into. You know, a lot of people come to a media agency, even like me, wanting to get into banking, and I can promise everyone out there it's not like banking. That's probably a good thing in many ways. A lot of people think it's a creative agency, so you're going to be making ads, and it's not. It's a client service business, so we spend other people's money. We try and do that in the best possible way we can, but the fundamental thing you need to do is understand the clients. You need to know that you're in a service business and you're looking after clients and you're looking after big budgets. You need to understand the consumers of those clients, so whether it's Telstra or McDonald's, you need to understand what motivates the potential customers of those businesses. Work hard, do your schoolwork, get good grades, because once you get into media, it is a fun industry. It's an industry where there's no big machines. We're not making hamburgers. We're not making garments. We are the sum of the efforts of the people out there who are looking after clients. So treat your clients well, treat the media owners well, and it is an industry that will spend a lot of time training you, giving you new life experiences, and you'll have a lot of fun along the way. So invest the time and it'll pay back.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Peter. I'm sure our readers and listeners will be very much inspired and motivated from your success story and advice. We would like to thank you on behalf of the Australian Education Times for your time today. We wish you all the best with your work and projects.
Thank you very much. It's been lovely to meet you, and let me know when you're ready for a job interview. I'd love to have you working at OMD one day.